Wake up, wake up, wake up, 502. It is going down on a beautiful Saturday morning. 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio. Raashaan Myers here in studio with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. H to the Izzo, Haven Harrington, the architect himself. Haven, good morning. How you doing, sir?
Man, good morning. How's it going?
I like it, Haven. I like it, bringing the energy early. Haven, I'm angry. I'm mad. I'm frustrated. The Cleveland Cavaliers they did everything they could to try to ruin my Friday evening, Haven Harrington.
First of all, why do you put so much stock in Cleveland? Like you of all people should know what is going to happen. Like you know playoff James Harden. Playoff James Harden has been the same dude in the playoffs for like 50 years.
I mean, but it's not even, honestly, for me, it's not even just about James Harden.
I mean, it's not, but it's Cleveland. It's Cleveland. I mean, it's like it is what it is.
I was so angry.
I do not know why.
I was so just not irrationally upset, but that game last night, you have won 3 games in a row. You're Cleveland, okay? You go home, game 3 and game 4, win those 2 games to tie the series back at 2. You go on the road into Detroit and win the game, even though you almost gave it away in regulation. You end up going to overtime. You get the big win in overtime. Okay, so you're going home with an opportunity to knock off the 1 seed, get Donovan Mitchell to his first conference finals, and at home, you get 20-piece.
I mean, the cream rises to the top.
It's just... So besides the fact that I'm annoyed about the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't know if Romy Bean is going to join us this morning. If he does, I'm going to get his thoughts.
Maybe not, because if I'm not mistaken, the Kings have a game today at noon.
Oh, do they? Okay, so yeah, so Romy Bean will more than likely not be there, so I will not be able to get his thoughts on that, but I will definitely as well as the conversation with Wembanyama and crew get it done. At least one team that I wanted to see have success, Haven Harrington's doing what they're supposed to do.
I mean, at least Cleveland made it this far.
You got a bunch of first, second, and third year players that have more,
but that's not fair, right?
Because maturity and but physicality than like guys that's been in the league for 8 years.
But that's not fair because like San Antonio has a system.
Yeah.
And they
the culture, the Spurs
they have a
culture.
system, they have a culture, and they draft players, they trade players to fit their system and culture, right?
What kind of culture do they have in Cleveland?
Losing. No, I'm just joking. It's not losing, but it's
they've had one of the best records in the Eastern Conference the last 4 years since Donovan's been there.
You know what? They're like the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA. Great regular season team, and they get to the playoffs and just fold like a cheap suit.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's kind of is what it is. But I tell you what, man, we have so much to get into. I'm not going to sit here and harp on the Cleveland Cavaliers all morning, even though
you want to.
I'm just glad that I was not on the radio last night or had to do a radio show because I was so angry. I was so angry. Like, some of the stuff that we get away with, Haven Harrington, when we do Breakdown 502 or Main Event After Dark, some of our online editions of our show, there's a lot more that I can say that I can't really say on terrestrial radio. So
a lot.
I at least am thankful that I didn't get any FCC violations, and Wake Up 502 can still come to these nice people every Saturday morning. So,
what you should be happy about
is
all of the super positive press Louisville's men's basketball team has gotten over the past couple of weeks. I'm like super, super positive. I know last week when I came on the air, I was like, man, everybody's talking about this is going to be a Final Four team. Louisville's, class is this, that, and the third. So I watched some more national podcasts this week, and it's just like more of the same, right? Like Aaron Torres just loves this Louisville team.
Yeah.
Loves this Louisville team. Like he has called this the most complete team in college basketball. He had a whole podcast just about this being the most complete team in college basketball right now.
Yeah, no, I mean it's been amazing, and that's kind of first of all 502-414-1450. That is the Game Day Men's Health text line. Want to hear your thoughts this morning? We're gonna talk a lot about. It's very interesting, Haven Harrington, the kind of relationship between U of L basketball and UK basketball that has developed over this offseason.
That's not who would have ever thought. Like literally, who would have ever thought that our trajectories would be reversed, right? Like I just always assumed that UK would have like the quote unquote higher ranked recruiting class almost like every time.
Yeah, I mean, when you're living through the Cal era days of
that was the Cal era days. I'm talking about like I'm older than you. I'm talking about like the Joe B. Denny Hall days.
No, that's true.
Yeah, I'm going like way back. Like I started watching like Louisville basketball like in the 80s, like literally 1980. Like 79, 80 was when I really started paying attention.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Joe B. Denny era. I mean, it was like
going all the way back, to your Mel Turpin and your
Jenner Bell Mill.
What's his name? Sam Bowie and Kenny Skywalker and
yeah,
like Louisville probably had the talent advantage in the 80s for the most part. But other than that era back in the 80s, you talk about the 70s, it was about even. The 90s, it was definitely Kentucky. And then since then, U of L's probably had the more talented team than Kentucky, probably I'd say three or four times.
But that's it
over the last 25 years,
and that's
crazy.
But it's crazy now. Now you have recruiting rankings and the portal and everything else. Just like,
well, you heard what Dan Issel said, right? Did you hear what Dan Issel said?
Oh, Dan Issel's been hating for a while.
Dan Issel was being honest. They said, "What's the difference now? Why is Kentucky struggling, and why is Kentucky not just dominant the way they used to be?" And Dan just came out and said, "You know what? We can't cheat like we used to no more. Now everybody can pay players."
There you go.
Even though the Kentucky people, did not like that.
But
it's honest.
I'm gonna think it's like who in the SEC wasn't cheating.
Well, they were cheating in football.
Yeah, in football. Same difference, though. You know what I'm saying? It's like, who wasn't? Like, everybody was paying players. And we all knew it.
Kentucky been dropping bags for a long time. They just talked about John Wooden. Even back in the 60s, John Wooden was dropping bags.
Yeah. How do you get all that talent?
Well, like I said, man, there was that story about Moses Malone. Because Moses Malone did the straight from high school to the pros in the 70s. But Moses talked about the fact that when he was coming out of high school, that there was one school, I think it was Cincinnati, who was big at the time in basketball, said Cincinnati offered him like $200,000 to go to Cincinnati.
In that era, that's
crazy, right?
That's like $1 million a day.
Like, that's crazy. And that was always been my thing, was like, if Moses Malone, who he was the best player on the planet, he kind of came out with the same height LeBron did coming out of high school in the early 70s. But if Moses Malone was worth $200,000 in the 70s, what were players getting paid, in the 90s, early 2000s?
All you gotta do is watch that.
Dominique Wilkins. I know Georgia paid Dominique Wilkins to go there.
Of course.
Why would anybody go to Georgia? I don't care if you're from Georgia or not.
It is what it is, but the portal has even some things up. But honestly,
NIL, dude.
The portal, NIL. But honestly though, if you really look at Kentucky's woes, you just have to look at the man at the top.
Yeah,
I mean, Pope just ain't getting it done because Kentucky has money.
They do have money,
and Kentucky has more money.
But now everybody has money, though.
Here's the thing: like everybody has money, but not everybody's willing to spend money just on basketball.
It is crazy that with the fact that basketball. How much money Kentucky is spending. Like I know that this is the thing: is that Goose Givens, who's on the radio team, for UK athletics and specifically UK basketball, Goose Givens at the end of the year last year mentioned that UK was not going to be able to spend the way they did the previous year, and I think that's interesting because, of course, we all know what they said Kentucky spent on the roster. Did they spend $22 million?
Who knows? A
lot of Kentucky people say no, it didn't happen.
Well, I bet they came close.
But yeah, they definitely came close, and I feel like Goose said because Kentucky spent so much money and the season was pretty much an abject failure for what they spent on that roster. It wasn't a failure of a season, but when you spend $22 million, you expect at least an Elite Eight.
It's a failure.
Final Four. And they didn't come close to that. Like, they were very lucky. They needed an Otega Owe half-court bank shot to get out of the first round. So, it was definitely a failure based on what they spent. And Goose said because of the failure of that team, they were not going to have the type of pocketbook, open checkbook the way they did this past year. And to me personally, Haven, like, I can see it. And the problem is this: UK spent all that money and kind of kicked up their spending more than everybody else. They spent almost twice as much as every other school in college basketball last year. And the problem with that is you spent all that money, so now Kentucky boosters and things are like, hold on, man, like, let's back this down. Maybe we're gonna be in the $14 to $18 million range. But now, fast forward a year in NIL, what did coach it's a Texas coach's name, Raashaan Myers. Raashaan Myers said that there's going to be 20 teams that spend over $20 million.
And that's about right. I mean, I'm watching Field of 68, and they peg that, they're thinking that, like, there's at least 3 or 4 teams right now that would probably spend close to $20 million, with Louisville being one of them.
Yeah. I mean, they said that they already had 4 or 5 teams that had already spent over there. And they said when it's all said and done, there's going to be more than likely about 18 to 20 teams that spent over $20 million. So while Kentucky spent their wad last year, and went way over and above last year, now their boosters are wanting to pull back when everybody else is moving forward. I think that does speak to a lot to reason why Providence has a better roster than Kentucky. St. John's has a better roster than Kentucky.
I mean, but to me, it comes down to the head guy. Like, Pope just isn't getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
just not.
No player is going to play for Pope and take a pay cut.
No, I mean, they're not, and they're having to overpay players. Like, well, let me back that up. They're having to overpay for the top talent to come to Kentucky.
I mean, hell, they had to overpay for mid talent to come last year.
Yeah, and that's the top guy. That's Pope. That's all on Pope. I mean, Pope may be a decent coach as a head coach, X's and O's.
Yes,
he's okay.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, I mean, I give his credit. Like, I think he's
good.
But
as recruiter, we're seeing now there's a lot to be desired. There is a whole lot to be desired as a recruiter, and it's showing up because now when money's even, and now it comes to personalities and what you can offer. I mean, Kentucky is one of the premier basketball programs in the country, and you cannot let all the top 20 talent leave. You have to grab at least 1 or 2 of those guys, and they all walked. That is unacceptable for Kentucky. I mean, they are a blue blood. They're right up there with Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I mean,
and you have to grab of all the top 20 players, none of them chose Kentucky. Not a one. That is completely unacceptable. I mean, like I said last year that Pope losing to U of L was the death knell. Not getting one top 20 kid to come. I mean, I think he got like 15 of the guys to at least visit and none of them
No,
committed.
16 of the top 20.
16 of the top 20 visited, and none of them committed, not a one. And you have that kind of money to spend. I mean, granted, Kentucky may not spend $20 million, but they still have enough to at least grab one of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and to miss on all of them, and you're Kentucky. I mean, the name Kentucky alone should at least get you one person out of the top 20.
Absolutely.
The name Kentucky alone. And this is going to be Pope's downfall, that and losing Louisville twice in a row.
Yeah. I mean, no, I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. It's ridiculous. I mean, from the visit of Rob Wright, the visit of
they all visited. He's like, he had all these guys on campus, and they all just said no.
Well, you know what? One of the big issues that I've heard with Pope is that, you know, normally the coach will come in, the coach will have the sit down with the player. They'll talk about the system, how they fit, you know, what they see, they think they can do good, how they can help them. But then once the negotiations start between the player and their agent and all that stuff, they usually have like a general manager that kind of hammers out the details, and, you know, they do the haggling part. Well, and this is another thing that I got from Matt Jones. You know, everybody knows I love Matt, even though, you know, he's on the wrong side of the street. Matt said that Pope handles all his own negotiations.
Oh, no, you can't do that.
With players.
You can't do that. I mean, no.
I feel like that's a big part of the issue.
Yeah, no.
Because Pope believes like every player should want to come to Kentucky for the greatness of Kentucky.
I mean, that'll get them in the door. But no, I mean, you can't. No. Yeah. No. I'm like what NFL head coach like literally handles like all his own.
Yeah, there's a reason. Like, head coach, the head coach, and general manager, general manager.
Yes, you have guys for that for a reason.
Yes,
your job's to sell them on the system.
Yes, sell them on the program, sell them on the system, tell them why it's great and how it's going to be perfect for them and how it's going to help them get to the NBA. But when it comes to the money and all of that conversation,
pass it on to the expert.
Yes, pass it on to that expert. I agree.
And plus, it gives you like deniability. Like, I didn't know he was going to offer that.
Yeah,
and you can come back around and play the good cop.
Yes. Yes, you're my boy. But when you're trying to play the good cop and the bad cop.
Oh, man. And he's weird on top of that. I mean, come on, Pope. What are you doing, bruh? But I'm surprised UK just hasn't stepped in like, yo, listen, you're getting a GM. I don't care what you say.
Yeah. It is very weird. It is very odd, but it's just been very interesting because, as you know, we've seen the transfer portal. We know that all the guys that, you know, like Donnie Freeman and Rob Wright, we know all the people that Kentucky missed on. We know that Coach Kelsey is, you know, pretty much Deshaun Good, who was a power forward who was going to come in to possibly be the backup to Alvaro Figueres, is pretty much the only guy that came to visit that has not committed to Louisville. Outside of that, every player that Coach Kelsey has wanted, he's gotten. Some unbelievable batting average. Like, I think Haven in 3 years of visits for, let's see, hold on, I got somebody telling me that audio is sounding kind of funky on the air. So let's see if that helps for the people that are testing on YouTube. Like, we're good over the air, but I believe that there's something weird about the audio here. So you guys let me know if that's been fixed. Hopefully that got it together. I'm going to message them back. There. So hopefully they see that and they are good now. But it's been interesting because Coach Kelsey has his batting average is over 90% of the guys who visit also commit. You know, like nobody has the hit rate that high. Especially not for guys that are highly coveted, you know?
No, it's outstanding. But now Coach Kelsey is going to have the other issue, which is a good problem to have. But now it's going to be for Cardinal fans, you know, put up or shut up.
It's expectation.
Yeah, because like this is 2 years in a row we've had like a lot of hype on our class. Like last year's hype was the way the roster was constructed. You got the number one player in the class. You had the guys on Field of 68 and a bunch of other podcasts telling you this Louisville team is a Final Four team.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but that's, to me, Haven Harrington, in year 3 for Pat Kelsey, what were the expectations going to be anyway?
Oh, Final Four.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, like, at least Louisville is doing everything they can from a financial standpoint to say, you know what, we're going to make sure that we give you everything that you need. So much so that as I've been watching the NBA Combine this week, and I'll kind of get into some of the thoughts on that. We've, saw the Louisville guys go through it. Saw a lot of potential players out there going through all the paces.
I'm just happy the NBA Combine finally went to a real venue and got out of high school gyms.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Like, they have a nice little setup in Chicago.
Like I'm saying, I'm happy they finally took a page, because for years, we railed about the NBA Combine being. It wasn't a joke, but it looked like it was kind of like a joke, right? It was like some high school gym.
Yeah.
They had the little announcer sit there, like some folding table.
No, NBA TV's production of it, the way they have the players, it's so much better. It's so much better.
It's gotten a lot better. But what took them so long?
What
took them so long?
Yeah.
I'm like, NFL has been dominating the combine. They did with production values and everything. It was like, what took them?
Yeah, it definitely took the NBA a little while to catch up, because their combine just wasn't. They didn't even televise like the scrimmages and all that stuff. They never televised any of that. That's just over the last couple of years.
When they first started televising it, you would think they would do a better job. So I remember, you and I watched the first couple of combines.
They didn't think anybody liked it,
and it was horrible. But how could you not? How many people tune into NFL Combine and are always talking about the NFL Combine?
Yeah.
How could you not think, hey, maybe someone want to watch our Combine? Because it was you have people doing dribbling drills on the same court they're trying to play, they're running half court and everything else, and it was just a chaotic mess.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, because it feels like, I don't know how. I know the combine was structured. I know they get their weight, they get their length, measure them, wingspans, the vertical test. But I feel like all of that was just kind of a big jumbled mess before. And as far as a made-for-TV product, they didn't really know how they wanted to set it up. So it feels like the NBA, as they started to make it more of a televised television product, they wrapped it around. You know what I mean? That's almost the TV cameras came on before the NBA really organized how they wanted it to look. Because when nobody cared and nobody was looking, it feels like they just went to some, like you said, some high school gym in Chicago or in Indianapolis,
wherever they were. It really looked bad,
and just do all the testing. And it's they just kind of brought the cameras in, but it's no, you gotta, the NFL takes advantage of every opportunity to showcase their product, and everything is a top of the line experience.
To the fact now you have 300,000 people descending on, was it Pittsburgh for the NFL draft?
Yeah,
that is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
That is crazy. 300,000 people. And the one in Nashville a couple years before, a couple of 100,000, there's about 150,000 people. That is on a Thursday.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the way, everything comes together for the NFL. And I think that NBA is getting there, and it was very entertaining. A lot of the interviews and a lot of the stuff that we saw, they televised 2 days of live scrimmages between all the guys that were willing to get out there and play. So you basically get 4 full games of basically college all-star games, except it's not, it's not like an all-star game setting. They're not out there throwing lobs and everybody's dunking. It's real basketball.
It's real basketball, and plus they got highlight videos of the players.
Yes,
so you show what they did in college, or even some of the European guys. You got footage of those guys.
Yeah,
which is nice, because I remember a couple of NBA drafts. They would draft all these European players that nobody knew who they were, and the best can find some grainy YouTube video of them in middle school.
It's a lot more exposure now, especially now that the Europeans are coming overseas now to play in college before they go to the pros. So you definitely are getting a lot more exposure. I love it. I think basketball is in a great place. I think that the basketball is probably healthier than it has been in a long time. So super, super excited for that. And to that end, there's a European prospect, by way of a Big 12 program that is looking at both Kentucky and Louisville, and we're waiting to see where those decisions are going to be. There's a couple of guys that we're waiting to see what they're going to do with their NBA Combine future. I want to get Haven's thoughts on that and much, much more. You are listening to Wake Up 502. Raashaan Myers, Haven Harrington, Big X Sports Radio, and we'll be back in just a second. And welcome back in. Segment number 2, Wake Up 502, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio. Raashaan Myers, Haven Harrington, taking care of you this morning. Haven Harrington, we were talking about everything going on up in, at the NBA Combine. We're talking about all the guys doing their thing. Michael Brown Jr. went out there. He got measured, got the wingspan taken care of. His measurements came back pretty strong. 6'3.5" without shoes on. NBA does all their measurements without shoes on. So, of course, you translate that to with shoes. He's about 6'4.5". So depending, sometimes you get 6'4 3/4, depending on what type of shoes you like to wear on the court. So
there we go.
Coming in right at around 6'5". Ryan Conwell got measured. He came in at about 6'2.5" without shoes on. So a little bit short, about 6'3". Is where he's playing, but good measurements. Came in one of the heaviest guards in the draft. I think they said Conwell came in at about 218 pounds.
I mean, he's solid.
He's a solid dude, man. He's built like a running back. He came back with pretty good measurements. What did you think about this? Flory Badunga, new Louisville big man, number 1 player in the transfer portal, came in at 6'7 3/4 flat, without shoes on.
That's a little short. I mean, just to say the least. He
had a 7'4" wingspan. So, wingspan, arms super, super long. He's like plus, almost plus 13.5, I believe, on the wingspan. Just some ridiculous wingspan. But, or not 13.5, 6.5, plus 6.5, plus 7.5, something like that on the wingspan. But what do you think about that? Like that was a point of conversation where people were trying to talk bad about Flory, saying that, that's not big enough. Like, are you okay with that? I mean, it's not as an NBA prospect, just speaking of as far as for Louisville, because there was a lot of people talking smack about that.
It depends on how he used his lack of size or lack of height and how he plays in our system, right? Because, there's been short guys before that have played very physical, played down low, and able to ball out. DeJuan Blair from Pittsburgh comes to mind. I mean, DeJuan Blair was like, what, 6'3.5", 6'4"?
Yeah.
It was like solid, and he put when Louisville played Pittsburgh, and he gave us everything we wanted. Earl Clark wanted nothing to do with DeJuan Blair, and Earl Clark had a good, 4 inches on him and could do nothing with them.
Yeah. I mean, and I can understand from a NBA perspective, people are going to look at that. But Flory Badunga, last year at Kansas, at this 6'7 3/4, which puts him right at, 6'9" with shoes on.
Mm-hmm.
In last year in the Big 12, 13 points. He was giving you 6 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, 1.5 assists, and was Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year.
I mean,
first team All Big 12, and more than likely is going to be a first team All American.
I mean, this is the same thing like with NFL Combine, how they complain about Bain, who came out of Miami with, because he had short arms.
Yeah,
and there's no way because defensive end is supposed to be like at least 6'4", 6'5", with extra long arms. He has these short, Tyrannosaurus Rex arms apparently when they measured him. But if you look at his production, who cares? Look what he did on the field against the best talent in college football. He was dominant in literally almost every game he played in against every offensive lineman. Even some offensive linemen they were drafted very highly in the draft. So, a lot of times, yes, you may not have the physical measurements, but sometimes it's just about, hey, what's your motor like? How do you play? As
a Louisville fan, I looked at it like this, Haven Harrington. I know what Flory Badunga was as a basketball player at Kansas, and you give me that at Louisville. I'm good with it.
You're good.
You know what I mean?
It's about your motor. It's about how you play.
Yes.
It's about, yes, you may not be the tallest, but how to use the height that you have.
Hey, guess what?
Muggsy Bogues had a long NBA career.
Montrezl Harrell came in 6'6" without shoes on. And he was a dominant NBA player for years. Won Sixth Man of the Year.
Like I said, Muggsy Bogues was 5. They say he's 5'4", but he was 5'3 3/4". I mean, and had a long NBA career.
Yeah, so but I do feel like, honestly, Haven, the reason that I was not mad about those measurements is because selfishly, as a Louisville fan,
that makes
those measurements will keep him in college.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Those measurements will keep him in college. And he was actually at the combine talking very glowingly about what Louisville's putting together. Said Louisville's putting together a super team for next year. He would tell anybody who would listen. So, yeah, I mean that to me is not a big deal at all. If anything, that actually works in Louisville's favor that Floyd Badunga is 6'7" and 3/4 without shoes on.
My question for you is,
yes,
looking at how well Michael Brown Jr. did in the combine.
Yes, great in shooting drills.
How much does that make you just? Is there a tinge of question in the back of your mind saying that he may have been able to play? But decided to put everything on the shelf for the NBA.
It's not even a twinge of thought that he could have played. I fully believe that he could have played.
And how much does it bother you that he didn't?
As a Louisville fan, you want your best players to be out there. And do I think that if Michael's out there, Louisville beats Michigan State? Absolutely. I think Louisville's a Sweet 16 team. They reach their expectation if Michael's able to play. But I also understand why he didn't play. And I understand the stance of his family and of his team, that they did not want to take a chance on him having a setback with the NBA Combine and everything else upcoming, because honestly, I don't think that his family expected the elevation and the rise of Kingston Flemings, the elevation and the rise of Keaton Wagler, a kid who came out and wasn't even ranked in the top 150 prospects coming out of high school. And he has an amazing season with Illinois. They didn't expect the rise of Darius Acuff to become the SEC Player of the Year and lead Arkansas the way they did. That's 3 point guards that Michael Brown was seen as the best point guard in the class. And because these other guys had such a great season, it was a mix of, okay, Michael's back has been bothering him, but then also you have these other 3 guys that have had amazing years. If you bring back Michael before he's 100% and he puts more bad film out there, it could hurt his draft stock. So I understand. Like, it may be frustrating as a Louisville fan because he was definitely, he said he could, didn't want to be out there till he was 100%. He was probably 90%, but 90% ain't 100%. And I understand it. I feel like they did not want to take the chance on him putting more bad film out there. Like, what did you think about? Like, I understand it. I'm okay with it. Do you at least understand the reasoning behind it?
I mean, I completely get why he did it. I mean, if that was my son, I probably told him to do the same thing. Honestly. I
mean, you talk about a guy who came into the season, people were talking about him being right there. They said it was basically AJ Dabonsa, Darren Peterson, Michael Brown. That's where they came into the season. But you got to look, by February, Michael Brown's name had fallen out of the top 10. They were talking about Michael maybe going 11, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
So he had lost
He lost quite a bit. I mean, but he was a freshman, still kind of learning how to play college ball at this level.
Yes.
And he showed flashes of greatness, but you never got to see that sustained greatness. One, because the injuries kind of kept him out the rotation.
Yes.
Kind of slowed down his ability to practice. More importantly, it slowed down his ability just to play in games and build that chemistry up.
Missing that month and a half between December and January killed him. Yeah, I mean, because that honestly, Michael came out and was playing better than Darius Acuff to start the year. But what you saw was this: Darius Acuff got comfortable in December and started to stack those games on top of one another. Was the same time that Michael, after the Indiana game, magically announces he's not going to be able to play against Tennessee, and we don't see him. And Acuff, continues to elevate because he's playing every game. Michael sits out, so by the time Michael gets back, now he's pressing. He's trying to make up for lost time. He's still not gotten necessarily comfortable with the speed of the game and his flow in the offense and playing with his teammates. And it just never really got put all together,
Mm-hmm.
And, to those guys' credit, it's not the fault of Darius Acuff. It's not the fault of Keaton Wagler or Kingston Flemings. Like, those guys just had great seasons.
They had great seasons, and they played on good teams, and they got to show what they could do. Now, But for Louisville fans, I can see why that they have these mixed feelings about Michael Brown Jr. because that was a complete woulda, shoulda, coulda season.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like if he never got hurt and was healthy and could play, would he have elevated his game? Would he have been, consistent, a consistently great player? And you saw how much better, especially like at the beginning of the season, once you started getting the flow of the game,
Yeah.
you can see him get better. Once you start to learn the players around him, like what they like, what they didn't like, where to give him the ball, where not to give him the ball. I mean, Louisville's offense was completely different with him in there. And this easily would have been a Sweet 16 team if he would have played.
Absolutely. No, I think that if you have a healthy Michael Brown Jr. all year, Louisville is no doubt a Sweet 16 Elite 8 team.
Easy.
I agree with you. I think they would have been there. And that's why it's like I understand what happened. It's tough luck. It sucks. But I don't hold it against the young man. I thought that Louisville showed up and they, after Coach Kelsey took a very long time to adjust, he finally adjusted the team to doing what they needed to do to be as successful as they can. So I'm not mad at it. It wasn't a good season. It wasn't an outstanding season. It was just, all right.
And this season, I think hopefully showed Kelsey a couple of things. One, you need more than one point guard on your roster. And the other thing he's learned, you got to go big.
Well, think about this, Haven. Let me ask you this. If Michael Brown Jr. plays a full season and they have a Sweet 16 Elite 8 type of season, even with all the deficiencies that we still saw clearly all year, but they were basically just able to out-talent those deficiencies, do you think Coach Kelsey would have made the adjustments that he made this offseason to the roster?
I don't think he makes the adjustments to the extent that he made this year.
I totally agree.
I think he still makes adjustments, but not to the extent, because like if you look at last year's roster should have been way more competitive, even without Michael Brown, than what it was.
Yes.
It should have been way more competitive. And the reason it wasn't because I noticed this wasn't his system that he wanted to do last year. Last year, it was all about running up and down the court and shooting threes.
Yes.
But you had, and I said this last year, he may not have had the coaching last year to exploit the talent he did have on the roster, because I still think with Roos and Frew, if you had a guy that can really coach Frew how to play with his back to the bucket and score, and you gave guys legitimate shots to score in the mid-range, this still could have been a Sweet 16, maybe an Elite 8 team, if you would have made that transition earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree with you. And it's funny because I personally think that in the long term, we may look back at the fact that Louisville wasn't able to just have a healthy Michael and kind of overshoot where they should have been because of the talent, because of the shooting, the abilities of Ryan Conwell, Michael, Isaac Vanilli, and others, that Louisville long term may be better off because of the struggles that they had this year. And, the first, evidence of that is this roster that Coach Kelsey has put together
to me,
for 2026-2027.
It's a change on the coaching staff. It's most important.
Oh, I think it's both. No, I totally agree with that. But bringing in John Andershek, bringing in Eric Dixon, bringing in those two guys, defensive-minded guys, Andershek, a guy with championship pedigree, understands how to help put together a championship roster, specializes in big men. Go out there, find and identify the big men that Andershek believes can help Louisville out. Coach Kelsey, find those guys, identify those guys, and close on them. And to me, it's interesting to think about, but I do believe that Louisville's in a better place now, partly because of the struggles that they had this year. And sometimes you have to go through a little bit of pain to ultimately get where you need to.
Because last year, it became painfully obvious that, yes, you may have put the greatest three-point shooting team in Louisville's history together, but it was painfully obvious. You get a big physical team, you had nothing.
Yeah.
And when you looked at the Final Four, you looked at the Elite 8, looked at the national championship game, it was big bully ball all the way through.
Yeah. No.
And it became painfully obvious that your 3-point shooting, multiple guards can hit threes, is not going to get you to the next level.
No, I totally agree. 502-414-1450. That is the Game Day Men's Health text line. We'll definitely be reading your text. We do have a couple of comments coming in on X and YouTube. Actually, we have questions or comments on both. Joe Wilson messages on X. He says Charles Jones was a 6'8" center at Louisville and absolutely battled some of the greatest college centers during his time at U of L. Absolutely. I mean, Louisville's been the team where, undersized post players and undersized big men have been like a big hallmark. I mean, yes, you had Felton Spencer. Yes, you had Purvis Ellison. But, over the expanse, you've had guys like Ellis Miles, guys like, Charles Jones, Luke Whitehead. You had, the McCray brothers, even though, Rodney was more of the guy because Scooter got hurt. Rodney was kind of manning the inside for a while there. So, Louisville's definitely been the team that's had undersized, more athletic guys, guys like Alex Sanders, go through Troy Smith, think through all the centers over the years. Louisville's had a lot of more undersized guys that have shown up and shown out. So, yeah, me having a 6'8" center at Louisville that's just uber athletic, long, gives great effort. That sounds like Louisville basketball, but the thing that I love about it is that the guys that Louisville put around Flory Badunga, who's already the best big man in college basketball, they put a lot of size, they put a lot of athleticism, they put a lot of length around him. So not only do you have the best thing going at the 5 spot in basketball, you have 2 other dyed in the wool elite shot blocking big men as well to go along with them. Louisville should turn from a solid defensive team this past year to one of the best defensive teams in the nation. So that gets me super, super excited. How about this one, Haven Harrington? One of the other statistical oddities from the NBA Combine, the John Blackwell, which we know Louisville was very hot and heavy on before Blackwell decided to commit to Duke, went and measured at the Combine. Barefoot, 6'3" and 1/4 inches. So,
not too bad.
In that 6'4" range, right? Not too bad. Wingspan, 6'2" and 1/4. His wingspan was -1. That's wild. Like, usually when you think of basketball players, you want a guy who's +4, +5, +6 on the wingspan. John Blackwell, they said he basically has arms of like a T-Rex.
Nah.
So I thought that was just kind of one of the interesting statistical anomalies. He played pretty well in the pickup, though. Not as well as Ryan Conwell, hey, that brother, let me tell you something, Haven Harrington. Ryan Conwell, they played the scrimmages Wednesday and Thursday. Ryan Conwell made himself some money. Yes.
He balled out of control.
I mean, measured well, played well, showed his point guard skills off in the first game. He had like 8 assists in the first game. Second game, Haven Harrington scores 21 points, 5 of 8 shooting from 3-point range. Like, Ryan Conwell solidified himself as a second-round draftee. Like, I feel
easy.
I think that he's going to be a guy that you see probably go in the first 10 picks of the second round, be one of those guaranteed contract guys, that's going to come in. Like, he played very, very well. And, of course, the big man that everybody's waiting to see what's going to happen and is on the tips of the tongues of both Louisville and Kentucky fans after Jeff Goodman's comments, Milan Momcilovic, the big man from Iowa State, 6'8", best shooter in college basketball, shot almost 49% from 3 last year for Iowa State on a team that made it to the Sweet 16 before losing to Tennessee.
Volume 3-point shooter.
Yes. That. High volume shooting darn near 50% is crazy, especially at his size. Milan Momcilovic, basically Jeff Goodman, Kentucky's been linked with Momcilovic for a while, or at least the last couple of weeks, and I've seen Kentucky posts talking about Momcilovic being favored to go to Kentucky. Well, Jeff Goodman came out this week, Haven Harrison, and said that right now it looks to be Kentucky, Louisville, and St. John's. We've heard those 3 teams before. Coach Pitino, in there, Coach Kelsey in there, and poor Mark Pope just looking to win one recruiting battle. Well, from what Goodman says, Haven Harrington, he said if Momcilovic right now was to decide, he says that he would think that Louisville would be the favorite.
Really? Because Kentucky has like more money left in the bank to spend.
Oh, they have plenty of money after missing on all the guys, and they had a small fortune there for Tyron Stokes, and yet for whatever reason, he seems to think that Louisville and St. John's have the leg up in that recruitment.
That is crazy.
It's wild, right?
Because you would think with Kentucky having more money, not having really like any big superstars on the roster, that they could put the pitch on. Like, hey man, look, you come play for Kentucky. We can add maybe another $1 million that U of L can't offer you. Number one, number two, for us, you'll be the star.
Yeah,
you'll be the star on our team. We can build a whole team around you. You can be our guy. Like, hey, let's make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, I will be honest with you, Haven Harrington. With everything that Louisville has, I feel like after the commitment that they got this past week, the fact that Isaac Ellis was willing to reclassify and Boyan Zhang deciding that he was going to come to Louisville, I feel like Louisville's good to go. But if Milan just wants to come to Louisville, I'll take him. I don't think Louisville needs him.
I mean,
but if you just want to take another guy that's going to be a preseason All-American and he wants to play there, you don't say no.
Kelsey is never going to turn down a 3-point shooter. Never going to turn down a 3-point shooter.
Crazy. Well, it's definitely something to watch and see. Guys don't have to make their decision on whether they're coming back or staying in the NBA draft until May 24th. May 27th. So we still have a little bit more time. But just something to keep an eye on. Milan Momcilovic, we're keeping an eye on you. We're also keeping an eye on whoever's coming in next. 502-414-1450. Game Day Men's Health text line. 502-384-1450. Call your law office hotline. This is Raashaan Myers, Haven Harrington. Wake up 502, and we'll be back with hour number 2.
Get back on your feet, please. I'm begging you to check out on your own knees. Don't let nobody see you in a state of grieving over a brother. There's another possibility, which is for you to work out where you went wrong. I guarantee to you that it will not take long for you to make your mind up if the two of you belong. You know where honey's head at and where he's coming from. Get it out your system.
This is Kentuckiana's only locally owned sports talk. The Big X, AM 1450 and 96.1 FM, WXVW Jeffersonville.
At the IHSAA, we're proud to have partners who share our vision of building a strong Indiana. I'm Commissioner Paul Neidig.
And I'm Raphael.
Hour number 2. Wake up 502, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. Big X Sports Radio. Raashaan Myers, Haven Harrington, coming to you live from the palatial studios of WXVW, Big X Sports Radio. Haven Harrington, I tell you what, man, it's been so much happening. You got the NBA playoffs going on. You have the NFL announcing their who's going overseas to play. Who's going. Do you like all these overseas games and these games in France and these games in South America? Like, do you like that the NFL goes to all these places and, has all these games all around the globe?
I mean, I get it. I get it. Trying to get an international market. You're trying to expand. Yeah, I don't mind it. Sometimes I find it interesting when they're playing like in Brazil or they played in like Ireland and those places that people kind of familiar with American football. But, it's interesting to get everybody else's perspective on our favorite sport.
Yeah, I believe the Ravens are going to play a game, I want to say, against the Dallas Cowboys in, maybe it is Rio. They're going somewhere in South America or Central America and playing a game. I don't know if it's Panama, Rio, somewhere, but the Ravens and the Cowboys are going down there. They also announced, and I feel like Haven Harrington, we might have to make this trip, but the first game of the regular season for the Baltimore Ravens will be played in Indianapolis. They're going to be taking on the Colts to open the 2026 football season. So like that feels almost like a road trip.
It does sound like a road trip.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of nice road trips. You got, Louisville football kicking off the season in Nashville.
Yeah.
Versus Ole Miss. So there's going to be a couple opportunities to see some teams with local interest. There's a lot of people hating on the Ravens, though. Like, I would have thought that people would have loved the fact that they brought in Trey Hendrickson, one of the most accomplished pass rushers in the NFL, with some of the things that they did with the draft, bringing over Coach Jesse Minter as the new coach. They, reinforced the offensive line, which has been a big issue for the Ravens over the years. I would think they would be getting more love, but
I get
a lot of people are hating on Baltimore.
I mean, I get it because like we've seen the Ravens have like great moves before. And what we thought were like, okay, they finally fixed the wide receiver situation. Yes, they're going to take like another turn. And then they don't, right? And then say, oh my God, they added, one of the best running backs ever in the NFL to the roster. So now they got this elite running game. And then you play the Chiefs. And the Chiefs have a okay running defense. And you throw the ball 50 times instead. I mean, it's just, you keep seeing the Ravens making moves on a roster you think is, okay, this is it. We finally did it. And then it just never comes to fruition. So the Ravens are, in those put up or shut up. Yes, okay, you got rid of your coach. Great. You added some offensive line. Great. You added some more pass rush. Great. But we still don't have faith in you to make a good playoff run because you still haven't shown us that. And that's where people are. It's like me and the Dallas Cowboys, right? I'm a Cowboys fan. And I'll be the first person to admit I'm a Cowboys fan, and you know this better than anybody.
Yeah, you are the most realistic Cowboys fan in the world.
I'm like,
harsh about your own team.
I'm like, I don't care what you do in the regular season. Show me what you're going to do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I've seen Dallas have the number one defense in the NFL get to the playoffs and give up 34 points, right? They've had the number one offense in the NFL and can't score more than 20 points in their first playoff game and lose. Like, we've seen this before. We've seen this off and on before from the Cowboys. So now I'm a JD Cowboys fan. I don't care who they draft. I don't care who they add. I don't care how great their draft was. Show me.
Yeah,
and that's where I'm with the Ravens.
You're definitely the most realistic fan. And to me, I am one of those people that I believe that John Harbaugh absolutely held back the Ravens a lot of the time with some of his decision making, the lack of discipline, kind of some of the same issues I have with Kenny Atkinson and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Just to be a professional franchise, to make the mistakes that they make, to make the decisions that they make. The fact that you only give the ball to Derrick Henry 5 times in the playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs at home when the Kansas City Chiefs have had one of the worst run defenses in the NFL all year.
How do you do that? I mean, it's like everybody has ran all over the Kansas City. Like, you don't need to throw the ball. You don't need to prove Lamar is a better. And it was all about proving Lamar was a better quarterback than Patrick.
It was ridiculous. But it was ridiculous.
Only thing you proved was Holmgren was a better coach than you.
Yes, literally.
That's all you proved, that Holmgren was a better coach, because
Andy Reid, another
fat guy. I said Holmgren. Where you get Holmgren from?
I know Mike Holmgren's wild.
I know, right? So Andy Reid, man, just prove that.
Bigger guys, mustache. They both have mustache.
Yeah, they look the same. You just prove that Andy Reid's just a much better coach than you are, because like you had everything you need. You could just ran the ball like 50 times and won the game like 6. It's
just ridiculous. Like the Ravens this has been the Ravens. So like that, to me, bringing in Jesse Minter, the fact that you're bringing in a defensive head coach that understands how to get it. I mean, the Ravens have had all the defensive talent in the world, but they've not been disciplined and they've not been structured well defensively. That they have, never put any focus on the offensive line. They finally did that. I just love where the Ravens are at. And they have one of the easiest. They said that the Ravens have the third easiest schedule in the NFL this upcoming year. They are favored in 14 of their 17 games.
That's crazy
this year. So, I like where they're at. But I tell you what, let's go ahead, go to the Call Your Law Office hotline. We got our man, one of the best to ever do it in the city of Louisville. We got Jay Haas on the line. Jay Haas, good morning. How you doing, brother?
Good morning, Raashaan Myers and Harrington. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So, Jay, what you got for me this morning? How you feeling? Louisville basketball making moves. We got guys at the NBA Combine. We got Louisville, Kentucky fighting for recruits. What you got for me?
Yeah, Raashaan, Coach Kelsey is still doing what he's doing. And they still have a lot of NIL money. And they keep trying to create more aid for Easter, man. And it's certain what is going on right now with Raashaan Myers is that they're trying to get the kid from Iowa State. Either he's going into the draft or he's going to go back for another year in college, basketball. Don't know. But I was told yesterday that Kelsey can give him whatever.
Yeah. You might want to hit the silent on that phone.
Yeah, they just calling like crazy.
You have Jay over there with the $6 billion man tape.
Right. But no, hey, Jay, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's been crazy what Louisville's been able to do. They got the commitment from Boyan Jang last week. They got the announcement that Isaac Ellis was going to be coming back for reclassifying and coming into the class of 2026. What do you think about Milan Momcilovic? A big guy, shoots the three, best three-point shooter in college basketball this past season. Do you think Louisville needs him? Like, to me, I was telling Haven, I was like, I feel like Louisville doesn't even really need him, but I guess I'll take him.
I want him. I want him, boy, like alligator, crocodile going at it. I want it.
You just want everybody, huh?
Man, I want that big boy, 6'9", 6'10", 245.
Yeah, about
at least shooter in college basketball last year.
Yeah.
Man, why not get nobody? Why not? You got the money for him. They was loaded. I mean, to tell you, I heard it from a great source. Louisville was loaded on NIL basketball.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they do land Milan Momcilovic, I've said continually that Louisville, there was a lot of Kentucky fans that tried to say that Louisville has spent over $30 million and they spent all this money. First of all, that's false. Louisville has barely spent 20, they may have, with the Boyan Jang and Isaac Ellis decisions, they may have just now reached the $20 million plateau with those two players. But they have not spent more than the $22 million that Kentucky had last year. Now, I will tell you, if they get Milan Momcilovic, then I feel like, they probably go over that $22 million mark. But they have not been there as of yet. But no, I'm excited about it. So Jay, with everything as it stands right now, man, how are you feeling about the team? What are your expectations? Are you okay with where they are, especially with the announcement that Floyd Badunga, he's coming in, he measured at the NBA Combine. Are you worried about him coming back? Do you think he's going to come back and be a Carter? Do you think he's going to stay in the draft?
Yeah, man, that's kind of catch-22 right there, Raashaan and Haven. You know, we don't. When it comes down to it, dog, it's about that dollar, man, and your career, the foundation, man, the longevity of it. Well, we'll see what happens, man, but that'll hurt too if he goes to NBA.
Yeah. I don't think he will. I think, especially with his measurements right now, they said the latest mock draft from one of the draft experts, Floyd Badunga, wasn't even shown as a listed draft pick. So, I think his height has really hurt him a lot, like Montrezl Harrell, because you remember Montrezl Harrell only measured as 6'6", and he ended up going kind of mid-late second round, and of course he ended up turning into a really good pro. But I think that the height definitely hurts him. I don't think necessarily we have anything to worry about. I think that they'll be fine. But what else you got for us, Jay, before we get you out of here?
Man, I look at the Louisville softball team, the baseball team, just playing, and Louisville Sports is playing all season long, man. And I'm getting ready for one of my bucket lists.
Okay.
Oh, what's that?
I'm going down to Tennessee for the football game. Labor Day weekend, and then I'm gonna try to go to Kansas and Louisville, and one of my bucket lists is there with Raashaan Myers.
Yeah, absolutely. Louisville and Kansas. I cannot wait for that game. Allen Fieldhouse. I would absolutely love to get to Allen Fieldhouse, be there, see the place where Naismith coached, and there's so many great basketball just all-timers came through there. I would love it. That's where Wilt Chamberlain played at. I would just love to see Allen Fieldhouse. So yeah, I definitely want to make that happen for sure, Jay.
Let's do it.
I love it.
And I'm excited about Labor Day weekend, trying to do something on Broadway down in Nashville for the football game and the volleyball. The little girl volleyball team plays Texas down there, I think at 11 or noon that afternoon. And trying to do something to one of them bars and have the sports show. We're going to have a sports show live and direct.
I like it. I like it. So definitely continue to follow everything going on. WakeUp502.com. Follow me at Raashaan, RAASHAAN. Follow Haven Harrington at ME Sports as well. Just to keep up with that. But yeah, Jay, we got a whole lot of things upcoming. This summer is going to go by quickly. I think that it will be announced at some point that Louisville's going to play do some sort of overseas trip this summer. I don't know when or where that's going to be, but I expect with the NCAA changing the rules that teams are allowed to play overseas games every year now, that every big-time team, every power conference team is going to try to take advantage of that. So we may see some teams doing some group kind of exhibitions or make some travels to play maybe some pro teams in South America, European pro teams, maybe Canadian pro teams. We'll see what happens with that. But I do expect that that's going to be announced. So, honestly, it's going to be year-round, fellas. You got the NBA playoffs going on. You're going to have NBA Summer League. You're going to have college basketball, overseas trips. And then guess what? By the time we're into that, Haven Harrington, it's time for NFL preseason. That was quick.
Raashaan, and closing remarks, Haven and Raashaan, was playing in Las Vegas for the college basketball kind of tournament they created.
Yeah, the Players Era tournament.
Good God Almighty.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, it's always a pleasure talking to one of the baddest sports shows, the baddest guys in the game, Raashaan Myers and Haven Harrington, and R. Kelly, man. Keep up the good work.
Hey, I appreciate it, Jay Haas. Thank you so much. Thanks for calling in. There we go. Jay Haas checking in with us this morning. Super appreciative of him. He's excited, Haven. Hey, he's ready to get to this basketball season. He's talking about Kansas. He's talking about Players Era tournament.
So, Jay brought up something that I want to talk about for the next, maybe a couple of minutes we have.
Okay, absolutely.
For a break. And one thing to talk about was the softball team and the baseball team.
Yes.
So I have a question I want to put out there to our listeners right now.
Okay.
Because we know that the Louisville athletic department is in tough financial straits.
Yeah.
To say the least. Right. I think they just fired the Ladybirds coach who's been there for 40 something years and won 40 something national championships.
Yeah.
So what Olympic sports would you be okay going away to keep supporting, so you can keep supporting men's basketball and football?
Well, it's interesting, and
Cause it's coming.
Remember when Louisville came out with that? I don't know if it was like an article or just whatever, where they kind of stood up and talked about the inequities that are happening in college athletics. You remember that when they came out with that a few weeks ago? So, once again, listening
that was a warning shot.
Yes, that was the warning shot. So it was interesting because I was listening to Matt Jones, and Matt was talking about the fact that Trump and a lot of the folks that are in government are now working on some changes to college athletics. And he said a lot of the verbiage and a lot of the ideas that they are trying to put together and put forward sounded very similar to a lot of the things that Louisville put into their press release talking about the state of college athletics. And Matt said that he feels like the people at University of Louisville have a big voice in the room of what is going on with college athletics with the government right now. And said that kind of a lot of the brain trust at U of L has the ear of Congress with a lot of this. So he said, right now it seemed initially like the SEC and Big Ten were going to kind of run away with things, but they said by a lot of this legislation that they're looking to enact would be a lot more of a, at least for the power program, power conference schools, a lot more, not necessarily revenue sharing, but at least putting a cap in all the teams having to play in the same sandbox. So you just can't money whip everybody and, basically just talk all the kids to go into, Big Ten and SEC schools. So it's interesting to see if that comes about, but apparently U of L and the brain trust over there has, a big in with the government and what they're trying to do to get their arms around college athletics. What do you think about that?
Well, it makes sense. Well, okay, so it makes sense in this is that you have, even though he's retiring, at one point, the most powerful person in the United States was your alumni, right? Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
The most powerful person in the country was literally your biggest fan and supporter. So that helps quite a bit that you can have that guy can have that much weight and be a part of your program. But more importantly, I think what you're seeing is senators and congressmen who represent districts where you have the Virginia Techs of the world.
Yeah.
Where you have the West Virginia,
North Carolina,
where you have your NC States of the world. Guys that won't make the, if there's another round of expansion, they're not going to be in those talks. And there's a lot more of those schools than there are of the big power conference schools. So you can see that everybody's fighting for their piece of the pie because everybody see what's coming, right? It's just, you can see what's coming. What
the NCAA has not done, it sounds like the government is about to step forward and put forward legislation that's going to even the playing field around college athletics.
Maybe.
And that, if that happens, maybe that saves some of these Olympic sports.
Maybe, but we've seen it already where Arkansas, USC, and other places have already started to get rid of their Olympic sports.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely happening. And I think that, with, gender equity and things of that nature, that's a bad look, especially on the collegiate angle. I mean, because right now we are rushing towards a world where you can't have gymnastics as a NCAA championship competitive event, and you would basically be moving from having championships to basically having club teams for track and field, club teams for rowing, club teams, and you're not really having NCAA championships anymore. That cannot happen.
Well, because there's cascading effects, I don't think that people really realize, right? So once you go to that club model, what does that do for the preparation for your Olympic teams?
Yes.
Like Olympic gymnastics, which is huge, and Olympic track and field, which is super huge.
You would have Americans defecting to Europe to go play for European national teams.
I mean,
becoming naturalized citizens.
Well, in track you already do because there's no professional track in the United States.
Yeah,
but in Europe, track is a very big professional sport.
Yeah.
And I know because I've had folks I ran track with in high school that ran in Europe and lived in Europe for years and made millions and millions of dollars running in Europe. So it's really big in Europe, but not big here, which is I'm just surprised, honestly, that we don't have like professional track. But that's a different story. Yeah. So what does that other cascading effects mean for like your Olympics and things of that nature? And college is going to have to figure out quickly, like how this is all going to work.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely a lot of questions that have to be answered. And I think that it's just interesting to see some of the moves that they're doing to try to save college athletics, because we talked about it, Haven Harrington, when the first when conference realignment first started and started to get out of hand. We talked about this being a death knell, especially for the Olympic sports, because it just didn't make any sense for your baseball team.
It doesn't make any sense for USC to have to fly to Piscataway, New Jersey.
Exactly.
To play a game.
Especially not for Olympic sports. If football wants to do that, if basketball wants to do that,
the money's there, fine. But for like your rowing team,
yes.
No, it makes no sense. I mean, because I've ridden flights with like the women's, like Louisville's women's like volleyball team.
Yeah.
These guys taking Breeze and Spirit Airlines because you can't afford to take the private jets that the basketball and football team take, the chartered planes and whatnot. And it gets to be just too expensive. And I'm interested to see like how all this is just gonna just fall.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, this sounds like a last ditch effort to try to keep the college model as it currently stands in some semblance of what we've always known.
Because I have like zero faith in our government, the way it's currently constructed, to actually do the right thing.
I mean, so we'll see. They've shown the NCAA has not been willing to do anything. Like it took U of L putting out this big statement and putting a lot of focus on the situation to even get the government really in gear. And it now sounds like Louisville is helping to create legislation, which is wild for me to think about. But somebody needed to step up, and I'm glad to see that the University of Louisville is doing it. There's a lot of smart people over there at U of L that can help get this thing,
at least the ones to the left,
on track. Yeah, but fair. But I tell you what, let's go ahead. Let's hit this last break. When we come back on this, we have a lot of you guys texts coming in. 502-414-1450. That is the Game Day Men's Health text line. Would love to hear from you. Get those texts in. If you're on X, watching on YouTube, Facebook, get your messages in there. We got a bunch to read, Haven Harrington, so we'll go through those when we get back. You are listening to Wake Up 502. Raashaan Myers, Haven Harrington, and we'll be back on the Big X. 502, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio. Raashaan Myers, Haven Harrington, grooving and moving through this Saturday afternoon, May 16, 2026. Haven Harrington, while we were in the break, I had to show you a video of new Cardinal center Gabe Dines, 7'5", 225, 230-pound big man out of Independence, Kentucky. Was a big-time player at Youngstown State before moving on to USC. What did you think of that video?
It didn't look real. It's almost like watching a cartoon character run because he's so long. And the fact that he blocked that dude's shot, runs down the court, and then gets the alley-oop.
Beat everybody to the other end of the court
for the alley-oop. Hold up. And who was that guy that tried to lay up on him and just got completely shut down?
Zoom Diallo, the new Kentucky point guard. Played for Washington. It was a Washington USC first round of the Big Ten tournament. And Dines blocks Diallo's shot on one end. And then, like I said, blocks the shot, then beats everybody down the court. And this is a 7'5" guy. Like, that was an impressive athletic move. You know what I mean? To see a guy that big run that fast, Haven, is crazy. And that's why I said it on X that Gabe Dines is not going to be the greatest player at Louisville. Like, he's not. But he's going to basically be playing the role that Zugris played. He's going to be your depth big man. He's going to play maybe 6 to 8 minutes a game. You're going to want him to come in, block some shots, rebound the ball, be a presence, maybe be a pick and roll threat. But when you have a guy that can run and is that athletic at that size, Haven,
that's crazy.
He can play. He can play. That's a dude that you at least have to be aware of in pick and roll situations. Because if you don't check him rolling to the rim, he's going to dunk the ball on you. So, to me, it'll be interesting to see how Coach Kelsey employs all those guys. But I thought that was super impressive. And that came on the heels of Kentucky fans sharing a video, Haven Harrington, of Zoom Diallo in playing pickup out on the West Coast, scoring, making some nice moves going to the basket against, future Cardinal Jackson Shellstad. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about that video was Kentucky fans said, oh, my God, Zoom Diallo's just killing Jackson Shellstad. That's going to be all day when Kentucky meets Louisville. All day, he's just going to destroy Shellstad. And the one thing I wanted to remind Kentucky fans of, because, of course, they're not keeping up with the ins and outs of Louisville recruits. Do they want to talk smack when they have the opportunity? Yes. But the one thing that I wanted to remind them of, Jackson Shellstad is coming off hand surgery. He's not been playing basketball. He's, been starting to do some things in terms of 5-on-0, doing some shooting drills, doing some things like that. But he's not been playing basketball because he had the hand surgery. He tore ligaments in his hand, which is what put him out after 15 games at Oregon. So Shellstad is just now getting back on the court. So while, yes, Zoom Diallo's big physical point guard, we know he's a big, strong guy going to the rim. We know that Jackson Shellstad is probably 6'1", 190 pounds. But just calm down a little bit. The dude, it is what it is. It's a run with a bunch of guys in T-shirts and shorts. There's no structure. There's no nothing. Like, just calm down, Kentucky. But that's been the funniest thing, Haven, this offseason, because Kentucky's been having the struggles that they have. Anything that's positive for Kentucky or any possibility that something good is going to happen for Kentucky, they're going like way overboard. Like, how many Kentucky videos and breakdowns I've seen with them already counting Milan Momcilovic in their lineup and talking about how great Kentucky is going to be with him. When he's not committed yet.
They'll probably play double. I'm sure they offered him like double.
Absolutely.
Whatever St. John's Louisville offers, you just double it.
Well, and what's interesting about Milan, when they talked to him about, making his future decision, first of all, he said that all he's looking for is a guarantee. While most college kids are looking for top 20 guarantees, because if you aren't outside the top 20 and you're an elite prospect like Flory Badunga, you're going to make more money going to college than you are as the 27th pick in the NBA first round.
Easily.
Right? It's crazy to say, but that's where we are now. Milan said, all he's looking for is a guarantee. He said he doesn't even care if it's early second round, mid second round. As long as an NBA team is willing to guarantee him, he's fine staying in the NBA draft. He sounds like a dude that's like tired of college. Like he just is like, if you give me a guarantee, I'm not coming back. So like to me, when I hear him say that, I personally don't think Milan Momcilovic is coming back to college. Just because if he's happy and fine being a second round pick, then I see some team with a guy with that size and that shooting ability being willing to say, we'll give you a guarantee, 2-year guarantee.
Especially with NBA just being such a 3-point shooting heavy league.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he's probably, he's from Europe, so I'm sure he's used to more of the, club system where you're not going to class. All you're doing is lifting weights, playing basketball, doing basketball related things. If you're in college, you still got to at least do online courses and, keep up with your coursework and all that stuff. Maybe he's just ready to get back to being a pro basketball player, But I just thought that was very, very interesting. But, the Louisville fans or Kentucky fans, like, I don't think Milan Momcilovic is coming back. But the other part of it is, Haven Harrington, with him saying that the money really doesn't matter, he just wants the guarantee or he wants to play for a really good college team. If you come back to college, with what Kentucky has on the roster, especially with the fact that Malachi Marino is a legit threat now, apparently, to stay in the NBA draft. Like, do you really want to go to Kentucky and have to deal with all of that? Especially with the possibility of Moreno not coming back and UK not having that great of a roster. Do you want to put yourself in the middle of that?
Maybe not, but stranger things have happened.
For that type of money.
I mean, for the money they're going to offer him, it's going to be more than what he was going to make.
Tyron Stokes money, probably.
Yes, and it's going to be more than he would make on his NBA contract. And he can still go to NBA next year. And even though it may not be guaranteed, he have money in the bank. So he could ride it out. You never know. I mean, you just really never know. Because you don't know, like you said, if he's going to get that guaranteed contract or not.
It's interesting. I mean, he seems like a different guy. Like, to me, people were freaking out about Floyd Badunga. But basically, when Floyd Badunga asked about the stay in the draft versus, go conversation, all he said was, I'm looking for good feedback from an NBA team. And if I can get good feedback and I'm happy with it, then I would stay in the draft. Like, everybody's like, oh my God, he's not coming back to Louisville. I'm like, I didn't really get that. All I got was a guy who said, like every player, like if you're going through the combine, you're going through the workouts, you put your name in there. Obviously, you want to play in the NBA. And everybody's looking for good feedback to hear so that they know that they can stay in the draft. Like, I didn't really take it as he's saying that he doesn't want to go to college. He's,
No, he's just saying that I'm just going to weigh my options and just see where I stand.
So I didn't really have an issue with it. From everything that I understand, U of L people are not worried about Badunga staying in there. They believe that he'll be back. So I'm not worried about it. They're not worried about it. I think that, as I said right now, Flory at best is more than likely going to be a mid-second round to undrafted free agent. So, especially with what he's going to make next year, I think that, Louisville's definitely the better option. And like I said, the way he was speaking at the combine about the fact that Louisville's trying to put together this super team, and which I'm sure was probably a nod to the fact that they're recruiting Momcilovic, who was also there at the NBA combine, that there's probably a little bit of recruiting going on there as well to say, hey, you're going to be a first-team All-American. I'm going to be a first-team All-American. Why don't we both be first-team All-Americans together at Louisville? Which I like, once again, I will reiterate the fact that I don't feel like Louisville needs that, but
hey, the more the merrier.
Yeah, if they want to play, they can play. 502-414-1450. That is the Game Day Men's Health text line. Going to read some of your texts there. We also got them coming in on YouTube and X. So I want to get through all these comments before we get out of here, Haven Harrington. First text of the day says, good morning, Wake Up 502. Main event, the primaries culture. Don't forget to vote for my brother Carl Price for county attorney.
May 19th.
There we
Tuesday.
Go. Upcoming. And he said, question number one. He says, what does Haven think about the NFL schedule with the Ravens and Bengals on New Year's Eve? Do you believe in the Bengals? Do you think that the Bengals will be any better
I think
they went out and got Sexy Dexter Lawrence. They traded for an elite pass rushing defensive tackle. The Bengals defense has been horrendous over the last 2-3 years.
Horrendous.
So does Sexy Dexy make a difference for the Bengals? Do you believe in him now?
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference, but I'm not sure it makes a big enough difference.
Okay.
But you know what? The Ravens, Bengals, that's going to be a primetime matchup regardless, especially in this area.
Yeah.
So, hey, put it on New Year's. Hey, why not?
I like it. He said second comment was, of course, they did make the announcement that Russ Smith has now taken over. Mr. and Mr. Smith Bourbon has taken over the Louisville TBT team. So Russ Smith is going to be running that. He's going to be coaching that. And he made mention, Haven Harrington, that he was going to look to get a lot of the COVID era players on the team, because they didn't really get the opportunity to play in front of, legit U of L crowds and get the U of L experience, which I thought was interesting. Plus, it gives them the opportunity to get younger, because one of the issues with Louisville TBT is they got a bunch of old crows out there. So it's a chance to get younger. So Texter says his team, you ready for this?
Uh-oh.
Damian Lee and Trey Lewis, which, of course, we got your back, fellas. Rain Smith.
Okay.
Kelsey guy. Sidney Curry. Big Sid, one of the fan favorites from the, Kenny Payne
era.
In end of coach, what's his name? The bald head guy, Chris
Mack.
Thank you. Lord. See, like it's been forever. Chris Mack. Sam Williamson. I don't know about Sam.
Forgot about Sam.
I know. Jared West. Little point guard, transfer from Marshall. Dwayne Sutton, which I feel like people would love to see Dwayne Sutton come back, Louisville boy. Stephen Enoch, that's another Chris Mack guy, big man. Ryan McMahon, everybody loves a shooter. They'd give you two shooters. You have Rain Smith and Ryan McMahon. You got some shooting. And Quinn Slazinski, who played on the TBT last year and played pretty well for the Ville. What do you think about that team?
If those guys were in basketball shape, yeah.
All those guys are still playing pro ball. I mean, Rain Smith is tearing it up apparently in Australia.
Really?
Yeah, he had like 50 some odd points the other day. He hit like 12 threes.
That's crazy.
In a recent game. So, yeah, Rain Smith is playing really well. I don't know if Ryan McMahon is still playing basketball. I keep hearing people talk about Ryan. I don't think, all the rest of those guys I'm pretty sure are still playing basketball, but I don't think that Ryan McMahon is playing ball. But we'll see. And he said it may be two OGs from the Patino era to end off that roster. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, to me, it's interesting that the TBT is I don't know. I always find the TBT interesting because it seems like it does well in Louisville and Kentucky.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure if it's as big everywhere else as it is here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, it's definitely for sure. I mean, Ohio State has a big following for their team. You have Boeheim's Army with the Syracuse alumni team. But the thing is, the teams that usually win is like the G League players, because you get a lot of young guys that are pros that are, in your mid-late 20s, guys that are in the peak. But, teams like Louisville, Kentucky, they want to see their old favorites play. So you're getting older guys, you're getting guys that maybe are at the end of their careers or just about done playing ball, trying to bring them back like Shane Bohannon and some of those dudes. When you have these young pros playing on some of these kind of more obscure teams, and they're winning because they're younger. So, I mean, I think it's smart for Russ Smith to kind of talk about trying to bring in COVID-era guys, because that would be what you're looking for, guys in their late 20s in their basketball peak, So it'll be interesting to see how they put the TBT squad together. I'll be very entertained by that.
You got your buddy on there as one of the staff members, Wayne Blackshear. So.
Yeah. But bringing Wayne's World back to be a part of it. So I would love to see it. It's very, very interesting. Hopefully, I think that Louisville's done a great job supporting the TBT. So if you can get a little bit younger, I think they'll have a shot. It would be a coup if they could bring back like maybe Carleek Jones, who's been balling. balled for the Chicago Bulls last year. I don't think he got a contract this year, but is very, very good player. I think that he would be a superstar. He'd be a stud in the TBT setting. I think Rain Smith would, if you had a backcourt of Rain Smith and Carlik Jones, you might be able to win that thing.
Like I said, I'm just very interested to see like how the TBT does, not just here locally, but the league does in general. Because like I said, I know that the support here is like no other.
They sold, Louisville and Kentucky were, 1 and 2 in terms of ticket sales. They were going to play the finals here in Louisville, had Louisville made it. They were going to play the finals here because of them winning the ticket lottery or whatever. So, it'll be interesting. I think it'll be well attended. It'll be, of course, televised. So that's just something else that you have to look forward to, which kind of goes back to my point of the fact that there just really isn't an offseason. There's something sports related going on all the way throughout the spring and summertime, which I love. It keeps things interesting. Got thoughts on YouTube. Got Keedy Goatley 4575 says, "Isn't it amazing how when Louisville gets great players, there's a pause, but when other schools get and acquire the same types of players, it's the greatest thing ever." Yeah, I mean, people tend to hate on Louisville. And Haven, one of the interesting things to me, everybody's been focused this offseason on Louisville's payroll and how much they've paid for their guys in the transfer portal. But you know who nobody's talking anything about, who by far has accumulated the most talent this offseason? Duke. Duke has... Have you seen, they have 12 5-star level players on their roster for this upcoming year. But nobody talks about Duke's payroll. You know why?
Why?
Because they don't consider it a Duke payroll because Nike pays a ton of their money for them. And then also Amazon. They just signed a deal with Amazon to where Amazon's going to basically create content for their players to be able to make money on Amazon. So you have Amazon and Nike mitigating a bunch of the expense for Duke. So they're not counting Duke as one of the highest spending teams in college basketball.
Makes sense.
Isn't that crazy?
Makes sense. Now, I don't know. This is so crazy. I mean, you've had the Big 12 or Big 10 rather talk about how they're going to start getting involved with private equity guys. Louisville's talked about getting involved with private equity guys.
Yeah, Big 12. The Big 12 is doing that.
Yeah, and it's just like, when will it stop? I mean,
But I think this is why this government legislation is coming, because
even the NFL and all their blatant greed is kind of like, yeah, that's too much.
I mean, at some point you're going to have Saudi Arabia brought to you. You're going to have the Conference USA brought to you by United Emirates.
United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, that's the way things are going. And I think that's what
it's going to be. It's going to be things like, we're about to watch your Louisville Cardinals or your Louisville Papa John Cardinals going against your, Kentucky Fifth Third Bank Wildcats.
Yeah, right.
All the teams going to just be named after I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. We'll start having logos on the chest of company logos on the chest, and things of that nature. It's that's where we're headed.
No, that's fair.
And with private equity, good Lord, once those guys get involved, you never know what may happen because for private equity, it literally comes down to dollars and cents.
Yeah,
and you're going to start getting Big Ten. We like having all these things around, but you know what? We feel like Maryland just isn't giving us enough
return on investment.
Enough return on investment. So we're going to either need to cut Maryland, or Maryland's going to have to do X, Y, and Z, and they're going to start having private equity people making football decisions based on you need this guy, I need to cut that
and
guy.
I think that's why they're trying to get a hold of, because it's going to get out of control.
You know what's coming. What's coming.
We got another message on here, Haven Harrison. This one's for you. Texter on YouTube says, is Haven going to run for office? We need some young voices out there.
I'm just happy you called me young.
Younger voices. Well, so Haven, do you have any plans to run for office anytime soon?
We'll see. We'll see. Have a couple of my people running right now who are younger. I'm working with Joy McAtee, who's running for the District 43. So we got some young voices in there that I think would be really good, that are real good go-getters, that are real fighters and real good progressive voices. So we'll see. And who knows?
It's fair.
I may throw my hat in the ring.
I like it. Got another text that says, is the studio haunted? Haven Harrington keeps looking over his back. I thought I did see a shadow by the door. Are you there?
No, that is me looking out at the weather because it was looking angry outside. So I keep looking at the clouds because
it looks a little ugly out.
Yeah, so I want the rain to stop. Like I don't want it to rain past 11 o'clock because I have a lot of things I'm trying to get done today.
I feel that. Plus, I'm about to get on the road. My niece Miracle is going to have a little recital going on tomorrow, so I'm headed down to Macon, Georgia. As soon as we get out of here, I'm sure my pops is probably listening to the station. Shout out to my daddy listening to the show, probably ready to get on the road. So, need this weather to kind of hold it together if it can. Got a couple more texts before we get out of here. Texter says, Roman Kelly should be doing a holy dance because the New Orleans Saints has a really easy schedule. Yeah, the Saints also have a very manageable schedule. Tyler Shuck, in his second voyage through this thing, they went out there. They got one of the best wide receivers in the draft. I think the Saints are in line to kind of make the next step up. They got some good defensive additions to the team as well through the NFL draft. I like the Saints, Haven Harrington. I think that especially playing in the NFC South.
Yeah.
When your competition is the Falcons and the Panthers.
Wait, you know what? Penix has made a full recovery, so he'll be back.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what that gets you. I like where the Saints sit right now. To me, I feel like Shuck is ready to kind of take that next step and become, Saints can maybe push for a division crown.
Yeah.
In his second year. I like that. Looks like as far as our online comments, last one says, I don't think it's safe to go to bars and hanging out around Nashville right now. They down there wilding out. You all might get gerrymandered. I mean, hey,
that's hilarious.
We got to get down there, man. Yeah, it's gonna be at Old Titan Stadium. We got to get down there in Nashville.
Man, have you seen the video of the new stadium, the new Nissan Stadium they're building?
I have not. I know it's probably ridiculous.
Oh God, is it ridiculous? It is nice.
Yeah.
You always complain about Nissan Stadium because it looks like a throwback to like an old school NFL stadium.
Yes,
but this new one,
next. I'm sure it has all the bells and whistles.
Next level. Yes, it does have all the bells and whistles. It's going to be super nice. The amount of money that teams are spending in the cities, owners, states are spending NFL stadiums is insane.
And the only thing we're doing here in Louisville is shutting down 65 North
for 2 months.
For 2 months. No, you said it right. 2 months from June.
2 months.
And for those who don't know, this is a programming announcement. 65 is going to be shut, not 65 North. All of 65 is going to be shut down from the Watterson to the bridge for 2 months starting like June 1st. And it won't be open back until end of July. So literally 2 months of just rerouted traffic. But we can't get, we ain't building nothing.
And it's all going to come to the Shawnee Expressway. You know it.
It's going to suck. Traffic is going to suck around Louisville all summer. So just stay in the house. Just stay in there. If you don't have to be out driving around, don't drive around. And the one texter said that if we're going to lose anything, they said just lose cheerleading. We don't need cheerleaders.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if swimming, some of those other sports, on the chopping block.
Yeah, no, I mean it's fair.
Arkansas got rid of the tennis team.
It's insane, man.
USC, didn't USC get rid of the swimming team? And that's like really big at USC. And they were like, nah, bro.
No, I mean,
we can't afford it.
Everything's on the chopping block. Everything is absolutely on the chopping block. But Haven, we need to get on out of here. Appreciate you this morning, brother. Thanks everybody for checking in. This is Raashaan Myers for Haven Harrington. And you know what? We're going to go old school. Like we always used to say, without struggle,
there is no progress.
Hey, peace, y'all. Have a good one.